President Obama, I think in a lot of ways, is naive by saying that we're going to have, if you unclench your fist, we'll shake your hand. A lot of those radical countries or radical people in those countries don't want to shake our hand. I can tell you, I interrogated them. They are convinced they're right, and they're convinced that we must either submit or be killed. And that's what they're doing. And they'll continue to do it unless we continue to respond. And so I was all for the surge when it happened because I knew that the Iraqis were not necessarily pro-American, but they were pro who was going to win. And once we decided that we were going to win, that's when the Al-Anbar province, who the New York Times called a lost cause the year before, said was a huge turnaround. The sons of Iraq got on board, and we won in Iraq. And we shouldn't be ashamed to say that. Our president hardly ever talks about Iraq. And yet, my buddy who was in Iraq, supposed to be in the last fighting battalion, got home 6 months early because there's no longer fighting units of Marines there. And we're supposed to pull out of there this summer, which is a good thing. We should be celebrating that. We gave people an opportunity of freedom. We gave a part of the Middle East that has never seen freedom like this before, the opportunity for it. And I can tell you, having a sort of friendly government that's sort of democratic to the U.S., that's a good thing in that part of the world. And that's what we have. And in fact, right now you see an election where we're trying to figure out if there's going to be a transfer of power from Maliki to Alawi. And it's not a violent turnover yet. Hopefully it won't be. And if it's not, that's the biggest test. You know, when one political party turns it over to another, that's the test of if you're going to make it as a country or not. It happened in America when I think John Adams turned it over to Jefferson. It was the revolution of the Federalists to the Republican Democrats, and that happened peacefully, and that made America what it is today. You know, hopefully that can happen in Iraq as well. I was getting at the end of 3 years here in Michigan, and you live your life, at least I lived my life in 3-year tours because that's what I was trained in the Marine Corps for. And my boss wanted to move us down to Naples, Florida, because of that's where Tom Monahan's moved a lot of his stuff down there, the Ave Maria town, and Dick didn't want to be too far away from the flagpole, so he wanted to have an office there. My family are snowbirds between there and Pennsylvania, and my wife's family lives down there. So we were thinking about it. We had a daughter born here, and our life was we were younger, so we were figuring, we had the whole world in front of us, so to speak. But God had different plans for us, and it's true that on the third child we had, our 20-week ultrasound, the doctor said there's something wrong with your baby, and that stopped us all in our tracks. Our world changed again, and all plans or ideas or whatever changed. We put everything not just on hold, we abandoned it. Took all the leave I could take. My son was born prematurely at 34 weeks. We thought that we would only have to do one surgery and that we'd be able to take him home for a period of time and then have one surgery and take him home again. But again, things aren't as easy as you ever think they are. And after we found out that our son had a huge hole in his heart that would need open heart surgery to patch it, we decided, okay, well, let's take this front on. The doctor said you have 3 choices. You can either terminate your child's life, you can have hospice care, compassionate care they call it, or you can, I don't want to go over too long, or you can try to save his life at University of Michigan. So there's no choice for us. We went to University of Michigan. And the doctors and nurses there were great, but I can tell you, I was a little frustrated with some of them not some of them, but this kind of, your wife needs to get an amniocentesis. Well, why? My wife's high-risk pregnancy, that just causes more problems. Well, don't you want to know if your son or daughter has chromosomal problem? Because don't you know babies with heart defects usually have Down syndrome or DiGeorge syndrome or some of these other syndromes. We didn't know any of this kind of stuff. We said, no, when we decided we were going to get married and wanted to have children, whatever God gave us, we were going to be parents to that child. So we can figure out after he's born if they have some kind of syndrome. Anyway, we had Blaze. And right away we knew that he did have something else wrong with him besides a hole in his heart. His left pulmonary artery wasn't connected to the main pulmonary artery. There's not to get too technical, but there's a ductus that everybody has in utero that connects the mother's blood supply to the baby's blood supply. That goes away after you're born. It's actually quite miraculous. And then the baby's lungs open up after he's born, and the pulmonary